Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. Today the live readings again is in the Delhi apartment of Anantarupa Prabhu and Jamuna Pavani, his better half, good wife. And we're here reading the Srimad-Bhagavatam. We're very, very happy that you've joined us. We hope you have a good time. As a matter of fact, we're sure you're going to have a good time. We've come to the third canto, 25th chapter of the Bhagavatam, and this is Kapila Dev beginning his instructions to Devahuti, and it's wonderful. Every verse of the Bhagavatam is wonderful, but this is particularly wonderful because it's Kapila Dev about to launch into the Sankhya philosophy, which is very, very detailed and very erudite, and but he's giving the glories of devotional service in this chapter. The title of the chapter is The Glories of Devotional Service. So he's starting right from the beginning, setting the tone that all this philosophical talk is meant to actually glorify Krishna. Okay, let us start now with Srila Sanatana Goswami's prayer. The Srimad-Bhagavatam Mahima Stotram is from Sri Krishna Lila Stava, the work of Sanatana Goswami. This is text 412 through 416. His glorification of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. It goes like this. Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabho Kalidwandoditaditya Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshaksharayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Sri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin Madguro Man Mahadana Man Nishtadaka Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Sadhu, sadhu tadayin, adini chochata kada, hanamunchakadachin mam premnarit kantayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me, always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Kapila Dev is continuing his teachings to his mother Devahuti, and he's been describing the opulences of pure devotional service, the attachment to hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, and the association of devotees, pure devotees. So we're continuing. Lord Kapila Dev is continuing. Canto 3, Chapter 25, The Glories of Pure Devotional Service, beginning with text 38. The Lord continued, "My dear mother, devotees who receive such transcendental opulences are never bereft of them. Neither weapons nor the change of time can destroy such opulences. Because the devotees accept me as their friend, their relative, their son, preceptor, benefactor, and supreme deity, they cannot be deprived of their possessions at any time." Purport. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita that one may elevate himself to the higher planetary systems, even up to Brahmaloka, by dint of pious activities. But when the effects of such pious activities are finished, one again comes back to this earth to begin a new life of activities. Thus, even though one is promoted to the higher planetary system for enjoyment and a long duration of life, still that is not a permanent settlement. But as far as the devotees are concerned, their assets, the achievement of devotional service, and the consequent opulence of Vaikuntha, even on this planet, are never destroyed. In this verse, Kapila Deva addresses his mother as Shanta Rupa, indicating that the opulences of devotees are fixed, because devotees are eternally fixed in the Vaikuntha atmosphere, which is called Shanta Rupa, because it is in the mode of pure goodness, undisturbed by the modes of passion and ignorance. Once one is fixed in the devotional service of the Lord, his position of transcendental service cannot be destroyed, and the pleasure and service simply increase unlimitedly. For the devotees engaged in Krishna consciousness in the Vaikuntha atmosphere, there is no influence of time. In the material world, the influence of time destroys everything. But in the Vaikuntha atmosphere, there is no influence of time or of the demigods, because there are no demigods in the Vaikuntha planets. Here, our activities are controlled by different demigods. Even if we move our hand and leg, the action is controlled by the demigods. But in the Vaikuntha atmosphere, there is no influence of the demigods or of time. Therefore, there's no question of destruction. When the time element is present, there is the certainty of destruction. But when there is no time element, past, present, or future, then everything is eternal. Therefore, this verse uses the words na nangshanti, indicating that the transcendental opulences will never be destroyed. The reason for freedom from destruction is also described. The devotees accept the Supreme Lord as the most dear personality and reciprocate with him in different relationships. They accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the dearmost friend, the dearmost relative, the dearmost son, the dearmost preceptor, the dearmost well-wisher, or the dearmost deity. The Lord is eternal, therefore any relationship in which we accept him is also eternal. It is clearly confirmed herein that the relationships cannot be destroyed, and therefore the opulences of those relationships are never destroyed. Every living entity has the propensity to love someone. When we can see that if someone has no object to love, he generally directs his love to a pet animal, like a cat or a dog. Thus, the eternal propensity for love in all living entities is always searching for a place to reside. From this verse, we can learn that we can love the Supreme Personality of Godhead as our dearmost object, as a friend, as a son, as a preceptor, or as a well-wisher. And there will be no cheating and no end to such love. We shall eternally enjoy the relationship with the Supreme Lord in different aspects. A special feature of this verse is the acceptance of the Supreme Lord as the Supreme Preceptor. Bhagavad Gita was spoken directly by the Supreme Lord, and Arjuna accepted Krishna as Guru, or spiritual master. Similarly, we should accept only Krishna as the Supreme Spiritual Master. Krishna, of course, means Krishna and his confidential devotees. Krishna is not alone. When we speak of Krishna, Krishna means Krishna in his name, in his form, in his qualities, in his abode, and in his associates. Krishna is never alone, for the devotees of the Lord are not impersonalists. For example, a king is always associated with his secretary, his commander, his servants, and so much paraphernalia. As soon as we accept Krishna and his associates as our preceptors, no ill effects can destroy our knowledge. In the material world, the knowledge which we acquire may change because of the influence of time. But nevertheless, the conclusions received from Bhagavad Gita, directly from the speeches of the Supreme Lord Krishna, can never change. There is no use interpreting Bhagavad Gita. It is eternal. Krishna, the Supreme Lord, should be accepted as one's best friend. He will never cheat. He will always give his friendly advice and friendly protection to the devotee. If Krishna is accepted as a son, he will never die. Here we have a very loving son or child, but the father and mother, or those who are affectionate towards him, always hope, may my son not die. But Krishna actually never will die. Therefore, those who accept Krishna or the Supreme Lord as their son will never be bereft of their son. In many instances, devotees have accepted the deity as a son. In Bengal, there are many such instances, and even after the death of the devotee, the deity performs the Shraddha ceremony for the father. The relationship is never destroyed. People are accustomed to worship different forms of demigods, but in Bhagavad Gita, such a mentality is condemned. Therefore, one should be intelligent enough to worship only the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his different forms, such as Lakshmi Narayana, Sita Rama, and Radha Krishna. Thus, one will never be cheated. By worshipping the demigods, one may elevate himself to the higher planets, but during the dissolution of the material world, the deity and the abode of the deity will be destroyed. But one who worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead is promoted to the Vaikuntha planets, where there is no influence of time, destruction, or annihilation. The conclusion is that the time influence cannot act upon devotees who have accepted the Supreme Personality of Godhead as everything. Text 39 and 40. Thus the devotee who worships me, the all-pervading Lord of the universe, is in unflinching devotional service, gives up all aspirations to be promoted to heavenly planets or to become happy in this world with wealth, children, cattle, home, or anything in relationship with the body. I take him to the other side of birth and death. Purport. Unflinching devotional service, as described in these two verses, means engaging oneself in full Krishna consciousness or devotional service, accepting the Supreme Lord as all in all. Since the Supreme Lord is all-inclusive, if anyone worships him with unflinching faith, he has automatically achieved all other opulences and performed all other duties. The Lord promises herein that he takes his devotee to the other side of birth and death. Lord Chaitanya therefore recommends that one who aspires to go beyond birth and death should have no material possessions. This means that one should not try to be happy in this world or to be promoted to the heavenly world, nor should he try for material wealth, children, houses, or cattle. How liberation is imperceptibly achieved by a pure devotee, and what the symptoms are, have been explained. For the conditioned soul, there are two statuses of living. One status is in the present life, and the other is our preparation for the next life. If I am in the mode of goodness, then I may be preparing for promotion to the higher planets. If I am in the mode of passion, then I shall remain here in a society where activity is very prominent. And if I am in the mode of ignorance, I may be degraded to animal life or to lower grade of human life. But for a devotee, there is no concern for this life or the next life, because in any life, he does not desire elevation in material prosperity or a high grade or low grade life. He prays to the Lord, "My dear Lord, it does not matter where I am born, but let me be born even as an ant in the house of a devotee." A pure devotee does not pray to the Lord for liberation from this material bondage. Actually, the pure devotee never thinks that he is fit for liberation. Considering his past life and his mischievous activities, he thinks that he is fit to be sent to the lower region of hell. If in this life I am trying to become a devotee, this does not mean that in my many past lives I was 100% pious. That is not possible. A devotee, therefore, is always conscious of his real position. Only by his full surrender to the Lord, by the Lord's grace, are his sufferings made shorter. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, surrender unto me, and I will give you protection from all kinds of sinful reactions. That is his mercy. But this does not mean that one who is surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord has committed no misdeeds in his past life. 38, verse 38, chapter 25, Canto 3. So, as stated in, I'm going to repeat this last point. Our hostess just came in and we had to greet her and tell her the page number, chapter number. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, surrender unto me, and I will give you protection from all kinds of sinful reaction. That is his mercy. But this does not mean that one who is surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord has committed no misdeeds in his past life. A devotee always prays, "For my misdeeds may I be born again and again, but my only prayer is that I may never forget your service." The devotee has that much mental strength, and he prays to the Lord, "May I be born again and again, but let me be born in the home of your pure devotee, so that I may again get a chance to develop myself." A pure devotee is not anxious to elevate himself in his next birth. He has already given up that sort of hope. In any life in which one is born as a householder or even as an animal, one must have some children, some resources, or some possessions. But a devotee is not anxious to possess anything. He is satisfied with whatever is obtainable by God's grace. He is not at all attached to improving his social status or improving the status of education of his children. He is not neglectful. He is dutiful. But he does not spend too much time on the upliftment of temporary household or social life. He fully engages in the service of the Lord, and for other affairs, he simply spares as much time as absolutely necessary. Yatarham upayunjataha. Such a pure devotee does not care for what is going to happen in the next life or in this life. He does not even care for family, children, or society. He fully engages in the service of the Lord in Krishna consciousness. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita that without the knowledge of the devotee, the Lord arranges for his devotee to be immediately transferred to his transcendental abode just after leaving his body. After quitting his body, he does not go into the womb of another mother. The ordinary, common living entity, after death, is transferred to the womb of another mother according to his karma or activities, to take another type of body. But as far as the devotee is concerned, he is at once transferred to the spiritual world in the association of the Lord. That is the Lord's special mercy. How it is possible is explained in the following verses. Because he is all-powerful, the Lord can do anything and everything. He can excuse all sinful reactions. He can immediately transfer a person to Vaikuntha Loka. That is the inconceivable power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is favorably disposed to the pure devotees. Text 41. The terrible fear of birth and death can never be forsaken by anyone who resorts to any shelter other than myself. For I am the Almighty Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the original source of all creation, and also the Supreme Soul of souls. Purport. It is indicated herein that the cycle of birth and death cannot be stopped unless one is a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. It is said, Harim bina na mritim taranti. One cannot surpass the cycle of birth and death unless one is favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The same concept is confirmed herewith. One may take to the system of understanding the absolute truth by one's own imperfect sensory speculation, or one may try to realize the self by the mystic yoga process. But whatever one may do, unless he comes to the point of surrendering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no process can give him liberation. One may ask if this means that those who are undergoing so much penance and austerity by strictly following the rules and regulations are endeavoring in vain. The answer is given by Srimad-Bhagavatam 10.2.32. Ye nye ravindaksha vimuktimanina. Lord Brahma and other demigods prayed to the Lord when Krishna was in the womb of Devaki. My dear lotus-eyed Lord, there are persons who were puffed up with the thought that they have become liberated or one with God, or have become God. But in spite of thinking in such a puffed up way, their intelligence is not laudable. They are less intelligent. It is stated that their intelligence, whether high or low, is not even purified. In purified intelligence, a living entity cannot think otherwise than to surrender. Bhagavad Gita therefore confirms that purified intelligence arises in the person of a very wise man. Bahunam janmanam mante jnanavamam prapadyate. Bhagavad Gita 7:19. After many, many births, one who is actually advanced in intelligence surrenders unto the Supreme Lord. Without the surrendering process, one cannot achieve liberation. The Bhagavatam says, those who are simply puffed up, thinking themselves liberated by some non-devotional process, are not polished or clear in intelligence, for they have not yet surrendered unto you. In spite of executing all kinds of austerities and penances, or even arriving at the brink of spiritual realization in Brahman realization, they think that they are in the effulgence of Brahman, but actually, because they have no transcendental activities, they fall down to material activities. I'll read that again, this is so important. In spite of executing all kinds of austerities and penances, or even arriving at the brink of spiritual realization in Brahman realization, they think that they are in the effulgence of Brahman. But actually, because they have no transcendental activities, they fall down to material activities. One should not be satisfied simply with knowing that one is Brahman. He must engage himself in the service of the Supreme Brahman. That is bhakti. The engagement of Brahman should be the service of Parabrahman. It is said that unless one becomes Brahman, one cannot serve Brahman. The Supreme Brahman is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the living entity is also Brahman. Without realization that he is Brahman, spirit soul, an eternal servitor of the Lord, if one simply thinks that he is Brahman, his realization is only theoretical. He has to realize and at the same time engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord. Then he can exist in the Brahman status. Otherwise, he falls down. The Bhagavatam says that because non-devotees neglect the transcendental loving service of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, their intelligence is not sufficient. And therefore these persons fall down. The living entity must have some activity. If he does not engage in the activity of transcendental service, he must fall down to material activity. As soon as one falls down to material activity, there is no rescue from the cycle of birth and death. It is stated here by Lord Kapila, without my mercy, nanyatra mad bhagavata. The Lord is stated here to be Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, indicating that he is full of all opulences and is therefore perfectly competent to deliver one from the cycle of birth and death. He is also called Pradhan because he is the Supreme. He is equal to everyone, but to one who surrenders to him, he is especially favorable. It is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that the Lord is equal to everyone. No one is his friend, no one is his enemy, and no one is his friend. But to one who surrenders unto him, he is especially inclined. By the grace of the Lord, simply by surrendering unto him, one can get out of this cycle of birth and death. Otherwise, one may go on in many, many lives and may many times attempt other processes for liberation. Text 42. It is because of my supremacy that the wind blows out of fear of me, the sun shines out of fear of me, and the Lord of the clouds, Indra, sends forth showers out of fear of me. Fire burns out of fear of me, and death goes about taking its toll out of fear of me. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, says in Bhagavad Gita that the natural laws being enacted are correct in all activities because of his superintendence. No one should think that nature is working automatically without superintendence. The Vedic literature says that the clouds are controlled by the demigod Indra, heat is distributed by the sun god, the soothing moonlight is distributed by Chandra, and the air is blowing under the arrangement of the demigod Vayu. But above all these demigods, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the chief living entity. Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam. The demigods are also living entities, but due to their faithfulness, their devotional service attitude, they have been promoted to such posts. These different demigods, or directors, such as Chandra, Varuna, and Vayu, are called the Adhikari Devata. The demigods are departmental heads. The government of the Supreme Lord consists not only of one planet or two or three, There are millions of planets and millions of universes. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has a huge government, and he requires assistance. The demigods are considered his bodily limbs. These are the descriptions of Vedic literature. Under these circumstances, the sun god, the moon god, the fire god, and the air god are working under the direction of the Supreme Lord. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Maya yakshena prakriti suyate sachara charam, Bhagavad Gita 9:10. The natural laws are being conducted under his superintendence. Because he is in the background, everything is being performed punctually and regularly. One who has taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is completely protected from all other influences. He no longer serves or is obliged to anyone else. Of course, he is not disobedient to anyone, but his full power of thought is absorbed in the service of the Lord. The statements by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapila, that under his direction the air is blowing, the fire is burning, and the sun is giving heat, are not sentimental. The impersonalists may say that the Bhagavatam devotees create and imagine someone as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and assign qualifications to him, but actually it is neither imagination nor an imposition of artificial power in the name of Godhead. In the Vedas it is said, Bishashmad Vata Pavate Bishodeti Suryaha. By fear of the Supreme Lord, the wind god and the sun god are acting. Bishasmad Agnish Chandrascha Mrityur Davadi Panchamaha. Agni, Indra, and Mrityu are also acting under his direction. These are the statements of the Vedas. Text 43. The yogis, equipped with transcendental knowledge and renunciation, and engaged in devotional service for their eternal benefit, take shelter of my lotus feet. And since I am the Lord, they are thus eligible to enter into the kingdom of Godhead without fear. Haribol. Purport. Anantarupa has just arrived. My host, our host, was taking care of us, and we offer our eternal gratitude to him and to Yamuna Pavan. This is going out all over the world, by the way, in case you didn't notice. Well earned, well deserved praise and affection. If you only knew, all of you out there, how nice they take care of us, it's out of this world. Hare Krishna. This is real Grahastha life. Purport. One who actually wants to be liberated from the entanglement of this material world and go back home, back to Godhead, is actually a mystic yogi. The words explicitly used here are yuktena bhakti yogena. Those yogis or mystics who engage in devotional service are the first-class yogis. The first-class yogis, as described in Bhagavad Gita, are those who are constantly thinking of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. These yogis are not without knowledge and renunciation. To become a bhakti yogi means to automatically attain knowledge and renunciation. That is the consequent result of Bhakti Yoga. In the Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, it is confirmed that one who engages in the devotional service of Vasudeva, Krishna, has complete transcendental knowledge and renunciation, and there is no explanation for these attainments. Ahaituki, without reason, they come. Even if a person is completely illiterate, the transcendental knowledge of the scriptures is revealed to him simply because of his engagement in devotional service. That is also stated in the Vedic literature. To anyone who has full faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the spiritual master, all the import of the Vedic literatures is revealed. He does not have to seek separately. The yogis who engage in devotional service are full in knowledge and renunciation. If there is a lack of knowledge and renunciation, it is to be understood that one is not in full devotional service. The conclusion is that one cannot be sure of entrance into the spiritual realm in either the impersonal Brahmajyoti effulgence of the Lord or the Vaikuntha planets within that Brahman effulgence, unless he has surrendered under the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. The surrendered souls are called Akutabhaya, Akutobhaya. They are doubtless and fearless, and their entrance into the spiritual kingdom is guaranteed. Text 44. Therefore, persons whose minds are fixed on the Lord engage in the intensive practice of devotional service. That is the only means for attaining to the final perfection of life. For attainment. That is the only means for attainment of the final perfection of life. Purport. Here the words Mano Mai Arpitam, which mean the mind being fixed on me, is significant. One should fix his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, or his incarnation. To be fixed steadily in that freedom is the way of liberation. Ambarish Maharaj is an example. He fixed his mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. He spoke only in the pastimes of the Lord. He smelled only the flowers and tulsi offered to the Lord. He walked only to the temple of the Lord. He engaged his hands in cleansing the temple. He engaged his tongue in tasting the foodstuff offered to the Lord. And he engaged his ears for hearing the great pastimes of the Lord. In that way, all his senses were engaged. First of all, the mind should be engaged at the lotus feet of the Lord, very steadily and naturally, because the mind is the master of the senses. When the mind is engaged, all these senses become engaged. That is Bhakti Yoga. Yoga means controlling the senses. The senses cannot be controlled in the proper sense of the term. They are always agitated. This is true also with a child. How long can he be forced to sit down silently? It is not possible. Even Arjuna said, Chanchalam himanak Krishna. The mind is always agitated. The best course is to fix the mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. Mano Mayapitam. Mano Mayapitam Stiram. If one seriously engages in Krishna consciousness, that is the highest perfectional stage. All Krishna conscious activities are on the platform, on the highest perfectional level of human life. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the third canto, 25th chapter of Srimad-Bhagavatam, entitled The Glories of Devotional Service. Shri Kapila Dev ki jai, Devahuti ki jai, The Glories of Devotional Service, Ki Jai. Okay, here we are. Fasten your seatbelts. Kapila Dev is going to launch into Sankhya Yoga now, but he just wanted to make sure that we're all like comfortably seated, safe belts, seat belts fastened, minds pure, knowing that we're going to get the real thing, even though this is going to be a heavy, intense philosophical journey. Hare Krishna. Here we go. We pray that everyone's ready. 26. The fundamental principles of material nature. Text 1. The personality of Godhead, Kapila continued. My dear mother, now I shall describe unto you the different categories of the Absolute Truth, knowing which any person can be released from the influence of the modes of material nature. Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, only through devotional service. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Bhagavad Gita 18:55. As stated in the Bhagavatam, the object of devotional service is Mam, Krishna. And as explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, to understand Krishna means to understand Krishna in his personal form, with his internal energy, his external energy, his expansions, and his incarnations. There are many diverse departments of knowledge in understanding Krishna. Sankhya philosophy is especially meant for persons who are conditioned by this material world. It is generally understood by the Parampara system or by disciplic succession to be the science of devotional service. Preliminary studies of devotional service have already been explained. Now, the analytical study of devotional service will be explained by the Lord, who says that by such an analytical study, one becomes freed from the modes of material nature. The same assertion is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Tato mam tatpato gyatva. By understanding the Lord according to various categories, one can become eligible to enter into the kingdom of God. This is also explained here. By understanding the science of devotional service in Sankhya philosophy, one can become free from the modes of material nature. The eternal self, after becoming freed from the spell of material nature, becomes eligible to enter into the kingdom of God. As long as one has even a slight desire to enjoy or lord it over the material nature, there is no chance of his being freed from the influence of nature's material modes. Therefore, one has to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead analytically, as explained in the Sankhya system of philosophy by Lord Kapila Dev. Text 2. Knowledge is the ultimate perfection of self-realization. I shall explain that knowledge unto you, by which the knots of attachment to the material world are cut. Purport. It is said that by proper understanding of the pure self, or by self-realization, one can be freed from material attachment. Knowledge leads one to attain the ultimate perfection of life and to see oneself as he is. The Shvetashvatara Upanishad 3.8 confirms this. Tam eva vidit bhati mrityumeti. Simply by understanding one's spiritual position, or by seeing oneself as he is, one can be freed from material entanglement. In various ways, the seeing of oneself is described in the Vedic literatures, and it is confirmed in the Bhagavatam. Purushasya Atma Darshanam. that one has to see oneself and know what he is. As Kapila Dev explains to his mother, this seeing can be done by hearing from the proper authoritative source. Kapila Dev is the greatest authority because he is the personality of Godhead. And if someone accepts whatever is explained as it is, without interpretation, then he can see himself. Lord Chaitanya explained to Sanatana Goswami the real constitutional position of the individual. He said directly that each and every individual soul is eternally a servitor of Krishna. Jivera Surupa Hoya Krishnera Nitya Das. Every individual soul is eternally a servitor, and when one is fixed in the understanding that he is part and parcel of the Supreme Soul, and that his eternal position is to serve in association with the Supreme Lord, he becomes self-realized. This position of rightly understanding oneself cuts the knot of material attraction. Ridhaya Granti Bedanam. Due to false ego, or false identification of oneself with the body and the material world, one is entrapped by Maya. But as soon as one understands that he is qualitatively the same substance as the Supreme Lord, because he belongs to the same category of spirit soul, and that his perpetual position is to serve, one attains Atma Darshanam and Hridaya Granti Bedanam, self-realization. When one can cut the knot of attachment to the material world, when one can cut the knot of attachment to the material world, his understanding is called knowledge. Atma Darshanam means to see oneself by knowledge. Therefore, when one is freed from the false ego by the cultivation of real knowledge, he sees himself. And that is the ultimate necessity of human life. The soul is thus isolated from the entanglement of the 24 categories of material nature. Pursuit of the systematic philosophic process called Sankhya is called knowledge and self-revelation. Prabhupada. Text 3. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Supreme Soul. He has no beginning. He is transcendental to the material modes of nature and beyond the existence of this material world. He is perceivable everywhere because he is self-effulgent. And by his self-effulgent luster, the entire creation is maintained. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is described as being without beginning. He is Purusha, the Supreme Spirit. Purusha means person. When we think of a person in our present experience, that person has a beginning. This means that he has taken birth and that there is a history from the beginning of his life. But the Lord is particularly mentioned here as Anadi, beginningless. If we examine all persons, we will find that everyone has a beginning. But when we approach a person who has no beginning, he is the Supreme Person. That is the definition given in the Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna, the Supreme Controller. He is without beginning, and he is the beginning, he is without beginning, and he is the beginning of everyone. This definition is found in all Vedic literatures. The Lord is described as the soul or spirit. What is the definition of spirit? Spirit is perceivable everywhere. Brahman means great. His greatness is perceived everywhere. And what is that greatness? Consciousness. Read that again. This is really, really nice. Brahma means great. His greatness is perceived everywhere. And what is that greatness? Consciousness. We have personal experience of consciousness, for it is spread all over the body. In every hair follicle of our body, we can feel consciousness. This is individual consciousness. Similarly, there is superconsciousness. This is the example can be given of a small light and the sunlight. The sunlight is perceived everywhere, even within the room or in the sky, but the small light is experienced within a specific limit. Similarly, our consciousness is perceived within the limit of our particular body, but the superconsciousness, or the existence of God, is perceived everywhere. He is present everywhere by His energy. As stated in the Vishnu Purana, that whatever we find anywhere and everywhere is the distribution of the energy of the Supreme Lord. In Bhagavad Gita also, it is confirmed that the Lord is all-pervading and exists everywhere by His two kinds of energy, one spiritual and the other material. Both the spiritual and material energies are spread everywhere, and that is the proof of the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The existence of consciousness everywhere is not temporary. It is without beginning, and because it is without beginning, it is also without end. The theory that consciousness develops at a certain stage of material combination is not accepted herein, for the consciousness which exists everywhere is said to be without beginning. The materialistic or atheistic theory stating that there is no soul, that there is no God, and that consciousness is the result of a combination of matter is not acceptable. Matter is not beginningless. Matter is not beginningless. It has a beginning. As this material body has a beginning, the universal body does also. And as our material body has begun on the basis of our soul, the entire gigantic universal body has begun on the basis of the Supreme Soul. The Vedanta Sutra says, Janmad Yasya. This entire material exhibition, its creation, its growth, its maintenance, and its dissolution is an emanation from the Supreme Person. In Bhagavad Gita also the Lord says, I am the beginning, the source of birth of everything. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is described here. He is not a temporary person, nor does He have a beginning. He is without a cause, and He is the cause of all causes. Parak means transcendental, beyond the creative energy. The Lord is the creator of the creative energy. We can see that there is a creative energy in the material world, but He is not under this energy. He is Prakriti Parak, beyond this energy. He is not subjected to the threefold miseries created by the material energy because He is beyond it. The modes of material nature do not touch Him. It is explained here, Swayam Jyoti. He is light Himself. We have experience in the material world of one's light being a reflection of one light being a reflection of another. Just as moonlight is a reflection of the sunlight. Sunlight is also the reflection of the Brahmajyoti. Similarly, Brahmajyoti, the spiritual effulgence, is a reflection of the body of the Supreme Lord. This is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Yasya Prabhavata. The Brahma Jyoti or Brahman effulgence is due to his bodily luster. Therefore it is said here, Swayam Jyoti. He himself is light. His light is distributed in different ways as the Brahma Jyoti, as sunlight, and as moonlight. Bhagavad Gita confirms that in the spiritual world there is no need of sunlight, moonlight, or electricity. The Upanishads also confirm this. Because the bodily luster of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is sufficient to illuminate the spiritual world, there is no need of sunlight, moonlight, or electricity, or any other light or electricity. This self-illumination also contradicts the theory that the spirit soul, or the spiritual consciousness, develops at a certain point in material combination. The term Swayam Jyoti indicates that there is no tinge of anything material or any material reaction. It is confirmed here that the concept of the Lord's all-pervasiveness is due to his illumination everywhere. We have experienced that the sun is situated in one place, but the sunlight is diffused all around for millions and millions of miles. That is our practical experience. Similarly, although the Supreme Light is situated in his personal abode, Vaikuntha or Vrindavan, his light is diffused not only in the spiritual world, but beyond that. In the material world also, that light is reflected by the sun globe, and the sunlight is reflected by the moon globe. Thus, although he is situated in his own abode, his light is distributed all over the spiritual and material worlds. The Brahma Samhita 537 confirms this. Goloka eva nivasatya kilatma bhutaha. He is living in Goloka, but still he is present all over the creation. He is the super soul of everything, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he has innumerable transcendental qualities. It is also concluded that although he is undoubtedly a person, he is not a Purusha of this material world. Mayavadi philosophers cannot understand that beyond this material world there can be a person. Therefore, they are impersonalists. But it is explained very nicely here that the personality of Godhead is beyond material existence. Okay, we'll stop here tonight, reading. And we've been going on for a little more than an hour. We'll turn over the mic and the attention to anyone who has reflections or any point that they heard during the reading that stuck in their minds and they want to hear more about, or they want to ask a question, or they want to reflect themselves on what we've read. Hare Krishna. I remember one example. I had a reflection. Can I start? Yeah. Can I start? Okay. I heard Gopi Pranadhana Prabhu repeat a reflection on this philosophical approach to being able to see Krishna everywhere when you can't. He gave the example of cotton. You know, cotton comes out of a plant, cotton plant, it's cotton bud. And then they make that cotton into a thread. And after that cotton's been made into a thread, you can't see that cotton anymore. And then they weave it into a cloth. And when they weave it into the cloth, you can't see the thread anymore. All you see is the cloth. So like that, Krishna is there in the beginning, and his energies are pervading everything. We can't, because people can't see him, it doesn't mean that he doesn't exist, or that he isn't the source. He is the source. The difference, though, it's just a material example, but the difference is that he actually, his energy does all those things, pervades into everything, but he stays the original person at the same time. Like the cotton ball goes away, but he doesn't go away. So now Kapila Dev is going to launch into this whole, Sankhya means count. So he's going to enumerate all the different energies, what their original purposes are, how the Lord creates them, how they're put together, what the purpose of the whole thing is, how the souls are, conditioned by them. This is another reason why Krishna started his teachings to Devahuti by explaining the glories of devotional service. Because it's not so easy when you're in the middle of this is a very long teaching, 26th chapter, 27th, I don't remember exactly how many, I have to refresh my memory, but it's a long explanation. So it's easy in the middle of it to lose track of where you are and what's going on here. So he brings these points out in the beginning to help us fix our mind on what's going on. Okay, I have some announcements for tonight. Then we'll end because we have to leave early tomorrow morning to go to the airport and fly to the UK. So tomorrow's reading will be cancelled because we'll be arriving at the place where I'm going in Folkestone at our time after 11 o'clock. So I could actually, but it's only going to be 6 o'clock there. So technically I could do the reading at 6:30, but we'd have to just get there, set up and do, and by that time it'll be 12 o'clock at night for me, and I think it's a little too much, frankly. So we'll skip tomorrow night, and Sunday at 6:30 UK time. 6:30 UK time is 11:30 at night here, unfortunately. For those in India, it's a little late. Anyway, it's recorded on this daily readings of Prabhupada's books, and everyone can, tune in and listen later on. And in America, that would be, well, depending where you are, then America's 1, 2, 3 time zones, 4 time zones: Eastern, Central, Mountain, and Pacific.
Hawaii is a different zone.
Yeah, Hawaii is like more than another hour. It's like, I don't know how many hours Hawaii is from LA. Do you know?
I don't remember. I used to. But
Yeah.
that's a different time zone.
Yeah. So New York is 5 hours from UK. 5 hours earlier. And Dallas, where we'll be, or Houston, where we'll be, is 6 hours. And Denver is in Mountain Time, is 7 hours. And the Bay Area, or Los Angeles, is 8 hours. Big country, America. And only India has, it's fairly big. It's not, a lot of Indias can fit in America, but still, it's all one time zone, and they make it a half, so that everybody has to figure it out. They can't just think in terms of it, Anyway. Anyway, we're going to be leaving India tonight, and tomorrow morning, and we're sad in a sense because it's so nice here. We went out and bought a few things that we needed, and everywhere we went, there was smiles and Hare Krishnas and affection, and I mean, it's just different than the West. It's completely different. Dr. Matt's been traveling with us, and he's seeing with his own eyes the difference. And the culture gets into your blood, under your skin, and into your blood when you come here and live. You know, even shopping is, compared to in the West, it's joyful. It can be. Doesn't have to be, I guess.
Did you by any chance meet Manish?
No, he wasn't there in the shop. Now they have another shop. Now they have 1, 2, 3 shops. Huh? 3.
He is always very respectful when he asks about you.
Yeah, he's very affectionate. Not just respectful, he's very affectionate.
Once I told him you had that accident,
Yeah.
he was always
Asking about it. Yeah, he's hearts of the Vaishnav. He's a Vaishnav. You know, Prabhupada said once, he said, India is such a place that if you scratch the heart deep enough, you'll find a devotee. Everyone. And if you learn how to deal with them, you know, with affection and look them right in the eye, if they see that you're, it's kind of like New Yorkers a little bit, because New Yorkers have this like a reputation for being like gruff and hard and heavy, you know. But if they see that you're real, they just open up their hearts to you. It's like amazing. New Yorkers. It's like a little bit like that here. All right, we're going to sign off for tonight so we can get some good night's sleep so that we can travel tomorrow. It's getting a little harder as the years go by. I don't know how Prabhupada did it. Started off at, I'm 72, so that means I'm two years into his preaching mission. He arrives at 70. He left India at 69. Arrived at, we think it's a long haul flight. Well, he took a boat, which was very, very rough in the beginning. And then he got this heart attack, and then Krishna just came to him in a dream and told him, you get on this boat and just go over there and I'll protect you. And then the ocean became, like silk. And the captain of the ship came to him afterwards and says, Swamiji, can you come back with us? Because he said, we've never seen such a peaceful crossing in our whole lives. So, which touches the subject tonight, how Krishna is all-pervasive and everywhere, and he can do the impossible. He can make things happen that normally can't happen, because he's in charge of it. So if we take full shelter of him, and he decides that the material energy backs off from us, it backs off. That's it. All right, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in, for being part of this special family of reading Prabhupada's books every night and getting attached to hearing together as a spiritual family, Prabhupada's family. We can associate, anyone can directly associate with Prabhupada through hearing his books like this carefully and in the association of his sincere followers. So this is an idea whose time has come, and we're getting traction, and it's starting to spread, and I'm hearing about it from a lot of people, a lot of devotees from different places. So please give us your blessings so that we can continue to do this every day for the rest of our life. I don't know how long that's going to be. Who knows? Anything can happen nowadays in Kali Yuga. Planes are falling out of the sky. Who knows? Anyway. Okay, Devahuti and her questions ki jai. Lord Kapila Dev and his teachings, ki jai. Srila Prabhupada and his mercy, ki jai. And all the Vaishnavas. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol, Hari Krishna. Thank you. See you tomorrow. No, see you night after tomorrow. Sunday night. Hari Krishna.